Thank you for your warm introduction. And just a quick coincidental fact, I was actually one of Tal's first customers when I was 12, and he was also 12, and he was selling hosting partly to me. Really, and now we are here on the same stage. Funny how things can go. For the last few years, I've been on a great, remarkable journey, if I say so myself. And some of you might think, well, why are you showing us first-class seats in one of the normal Dutch trains? Well, that's actually where I spent a lot of hours of this great journey. These seats are great. You can actually close the door of these first-class seats. There are coaches that are meant to be silent in, but I figured out, together with my business partner, that you can also really well use them as an office, to have great conversations. And you might think this is weird, spending your days in trains, going all around the country, talking all day, but I think that I can add something that's perhaps even weirder. Most of you will say you shouldn't mix your private life and your business life. I spent most of my days in these trains with the father of my girlfriend. Now some of you might say, what do you have to discuss with the father of your girlfriend when you are spending 8 hours in these trains, and when you're finished you're actually thinking, when can we start again? When can we do this another time? I'll get back to you on that. We never really had a destination. We've been to Groningen, we've been to Vlissingen, we've been to Venlo, we've been to all kinds of places, but mostly just as a pit stop. Just to get some air and then get back into the train and get some more work done. It's a great environment. I can really advise it to all of you. Let's reverse back a little bit, because you might be wondering, what is this guy doing in a train with the father of his girlfriend? It all started out when this father of this girlfriend, let's call him Gerrit, or my business partner, came to me with what at that time was a fairly simple question. He was working on concepts of housing, of living for young starters, for people who are finding their first place. And he was thinking about what facilities you could offer to make it really comfortable, to get out of the usual way of thinking, the usual systems of renting an apartment and living in some old place, and how to make it actually exciting, actually fit the lives of our generation, of these young people. And he came to me with the question, how can I use the internet to get that to work, to get to talk to these people, to get to talk to the right people, to realize it, and to get to the audience that might want to live in this? And I said, well, I do have some ideas, let's do this. I also said to him, here's my invoice. We started out like really separating the business and the private part. We did that for a couple of times until we realized that this might be something entirely different than we thought it was. Because we started thinking about, hey, this concept of changing a really normal, regular part of your daily life and seeing what it can actually be, what might actually excite you about it, can we apply that to other things? Can we not just apply that to housing, but can we perhaps also apply that to our financial system, to those banks and all those insurance products that we are bothered with every time? Can we perhaps apply that to education, a particular interest of mine? And can we perhaps apply that to transportation? Just to name a few of those elements of your daily life. So we got to thinking, and the vibrations in those trains were actually quite good. We had many ideas, and we started to see something to build for the internet, to connect people together through their ideas, through their visions of how those systems of their daily lives might actually work. Now let me tell you about Grace Murray Hopper. Grace Murray Hopper is a fascinating woman, if you ask me. She worked for the US military, and she was a programmer. She was one of the first programmers as we know them. She was actually also one of the first programmers who enabled modern programming languages, who enabled us to build those apps and stuff that we take for granted right now. And I really liked this quote by her. The most damaging phrase in the language is, we've always done it this way, and this really rings true for me. I'm the kind of person who really likes to ask why. Why are we doing it this way? Isn't there another way? Why are we stuck in these patterns? Why are we stuck thinking about our daily lives this way? So it became something complex. It became a vision, it became a dream, but then we had to get it together. We had to get our act together and bring it to the world. And that turned out not to be so easy. It was a great inspiration for many great conversations, but how do we make something real out of it? Who recognizes this person? Some of you do, but not many enough do. This is Steve Jobs, the same guy you just saw in his presentation, but in his younger years. And in his younger years, he actually gave an interview that not many of you have seen probably, but it was a really great interview if you ask me. He shared his view on how daily life works. He shared that a lot of people consider those elements of your daily life, the parts that shape it, to be set in stone, to not be changeable. And he said, no, they are. They are changeable. They are built by people just like you and me, and you can build for it. You can actually make a difference. It's not all said and done. And that is a truly powerful realization, if you ask me. So if you have all these elements of your daily life, all these things that make it into a game, make it into hassles and hoops to jump through, you can actually do something about it. You can make them. You can change them. That helped us, but it also made it even larger. It made it bigger than the two of us. How are we going to realize this? How are we going to do something about this? Then Kennedy came in. Kennedy, famously in the 1960s, said, I'm going to take the US to the moon. He didn't exactly tell the world how he was planning to do it, but he told them, trust me, I'm getting there. He got there, truth be told. But if you think about how you would get to the moon, how would you do it? What is the first thing that comes to mind? What are the prerequisites to get to the moon? Many of you will be thinking about spacesuits and about astronauts and perhaps about those famous rockets, the Apollo rockets. But that didn't turn out to be the most important part. If you ask Wernher von Braun, a scientist from the 1960s who did famous work on the Apollo missions, he said, the truly important part about getting to the moon is the will to do it. If you have the will to do it, and if you're willing to work hard, you will get there. You will find out what is actually necessary. We listened to that, we saw that, and then we figured, okay, perhaps if we want this enough, we can do something about this. So let's step back a little bit and let's think about what we would like to make. What is the online space that we would like to make? There are currently great discussions happening online on various forums and various bulletin boards. People talking about their passions, about what they see in the world, what they are fascinated by. And sometimes people have great ideas, but those ideas, they stay in the discussions. They don't really find their way into real life. They stay in the heads of people. They stay in threads on these forums. And then there's the great stuff like Kickstarter. Kickstarter inspires me greatly and has inspired us greatly in building our platform. And it is great to find audiences for products that you've made, but you're not sure how to market to them or how to find the people that will actually buy them. This is the famous example that has been in the news over the past few weeks, the Pebble time. It is now actually past $15 million. And this is great, but this works for a very selective kind of person, for a very selective kind of ideas. If you plot success and time, Kickstarter will help you with the very last bit. When you've come a large part of the way, it will help you ship your product to those first buyers, to get your money together to start building your product. But this is actually what's before that. And there's a great problem here, because Kickstarter allows you to show off, to show your project, your idea once it's in a certain state, but it doesn't help you get there. It doesn't help you find the people to build your idea with, to share your idea with. Your idea that might sound crazy in your head and you have no certainty of achieving, but that actually does make sense to you. A lot of people fall in this pit of doom before they actually get to something that they can present on websites like Kickstarter. And that is a shame. I think we can do way more with that. And there's also the second problem. Kickstarter is great when you're shipping smartwatches and when you're shipping books and when you're trying to make perhaps a film or a documentary. But not all things that I would like to change in the world or what I would like to see in the world are smartwatches. Not all of these have gadget factors. I would like better education. Can I fund that on Kickstarter? I don't think so. So if life is that game, then it is a very special kind of game. It's a game that we can change. We can change those elements that make up our daily life. And if you think about that for yourself, what is that part of your daily life that you would like to change, that you have ideas about? Are you bothered by your education or about how your university is working? Are you bothered about how your house is not really built for you, but mostly for someone who probably never existed? What do you think that X should be like? We would like to build a space for those ideas, to share your thoughts about what could be better in, for example, education. So if you are a student at a school and you are being taught in physics and you think, well, this lesson method, it truly sucks. I think I can do something better. We would like you to share your idea and to show the world that this is what you think could be better in education. And we would like you to find those other people that might also have those same ideas. Perhaps there are teachers. Perhaps there are makers of traditional learning methods. Perhaps there are graphic designers who also think that they could contribute to education. We would like for you to find them, to be able to reach them, to have great discussions, because ideas grow when they have a chance to be discussed. And mostly, we want to make it really easy for you to get from an idea and from the people who you have found to talk about it, to a project, to actually build it, to work it out, to find your way of realization. We want to offer you all the buttons, all the tools that you might need. So we want to make it really easy for you to perhaps book a meeting space somewhere in the Netherlands, to perhaps share documents online without having to set it up and email everyone. We want to take our knowledge about who you are discussing it with to make it really easy for you to lower the barrier to actually get things done. So think about that for yourself. What idea do you have on a shelf somewhere in your head that you think you might never be able to do? What things about your daily life do you think that could be altered for the better? What is your contribution? What is your creativity that is laying around in your head? We are currently calling it down here. It's not done. It's an idea. It's a dream, and perhaps it's a vision. And we hope that you like what you're hearing, and that you're seeing those ideas that are on the shelf. Because for us, it's a trip to the moon. And if you also want to do it, that would make it far easier. Thank you.